What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone is having a fantastic night. We are back again with another weekly show. Got to talk about Miami Hurricanes football expectations, and we got a Miami Hurricanes former. I mean, not. I don't like to use the word former because at but Chavez Grant, welcome back on the scoop, man. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
What's going on, fellas? I appreciate y'all having me again. Always a pleasure. Always a
Absolutely,
pleasure.
man. We love talking Canes football with Chavez. Ross, I know last time we had Chavez on, we were talking it backstage a little bit about it, but we didn't even hire Mario Cristobal. So, Chavez, what's your
Mm-hmm.
perspective on Mario? Maybe you cross paths with him as a player during your time at Miami, or anything maybe you've heard about him through just the grapevine of Coach Cristobal himself.
Yeah, I just want to put it out there. Mario was my pick.
Oh,
Mario was my
okay.
pick. When I said who we should go get, I said we should go get Mario. I just want to put that out there. But when I got there, Mario was the tight ends coach. He was, from what I understood, he was a good dude. Of course, he was on the other side of the ball, so we didn't have too much interaction with him.
Right.
But the players seemed to like him. Stand-up guy. You could talk to him about anything. He was always present. Fully engaged in practice. Just as crazy as he looks now, he was the same back then. So a lot of us were happy for him actually when he went over to FIU. Of course, we didn't want to lose him, but we understood kind of like his trajectory, because he was genuinely one of the coaches that I really remember. Like the O-line coach, I don't remember. The receivers coach, I don't remember, but I remember Cristobal. And of course, I remember the coaches on defense. So Cristobal was one of the ones who really stood out. And of course, a few offensive coordinators here and there, because our offense was always a struggle. But yeah, he was a good dude, man. He was a good dude. I'm happy we got him. Like I said, he was my pick. I think he's the right pick. And you can just see the energy around the program. So I think we're heading in the right direction already.
Yeah, no, the first thing is the staff he assembled for me. I think it was fantastic. Charlie Strong's our linebackers coach.
Right. Former head coach, right.
We got
Right.
Jason Taylor,
Right.
as an analyst role. And Ross, I know
Yeah.
you tweeted out something of an interview Mario had. Maybe you can kind of go into that a little bit of what, Mario was saying and, the passion he brought and what he was talking about.
Yeah, he was talking with Leon Searcy and some other guys, just about what Miami football really is, like what it means to actually go out to Greenfield and practice harder than the games are actually played. He wants to get Miami back to that status. It's all about depth. It's all about talent up front as well. But he wants us to get back to physical football, and he's made that very clear. And I'm so happy to hear that, because I'm tired of the soft crap we've been going through.
Chavez, were you able to check out the spring game at all?
Yeah. I watched the spring game. I watched it. I watched it a couple of times actually. I had to tune in. I kind of wanted to go, but I didn't get a chance to. But yeah, I watched it. They have it on YouTube and everything, ACC network. So yeah, I checked it out.
Yeah, what are your initial thoughts overall? We'll talk about the secondary first. I think everyone was pretty pleased. The thing about the spring game is, you're playing against yourself and not opponents. But, a lot of people said there were improvements with the secondary. So I'm curious your take on that.
Yeah, I think there were improvements. I think at safety, I think we're set, right? I think our safeties are definitely our strong point. I think we've got experience out there with Ivy and Couch. How it'll play out during the season, you never really know. I think we'll be solid. I think we'll be decent enough. I think we'll be good enough to win games. I think we'll be good enough to be a good defense and stay competitive. But again, I really think our strong point is at the safety position. But you take what you can get. We have a rotation at corner. We have some guys with experience, and later on in the season is usually when those experienced guys, tend to show up the most. So yeah, I'm not too concerned, man. I'm not worried about what I saw. Maybe I'm a little more picky because I was a corner. So, but in the end, I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, we have a new defensive backs coach as well,
Mm-hmm.
Coach Adai from Georgia, which I think is huge in a recruiting standpoint and a coaching standpoint as well. Ross, anything you want to cover so far? Pick at the spring game. We can talk about.
I often come back to it, Paul, unfortunately, and it's linebacker play. I gotta see something happen, guys. I mean, until changes are made, I gotta keep harping on it because I'm not gonna magically assume it's just gonna fix itself. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna assume that. I want us to, possibly bring in another linebacker that's got experience. I would have absolutely no problem with that if that's the decision that we went with. Now, there's been some chatter that we only have one spot left, available. I don't know the ins and outs of that stuff, guys. I'm not great with those numbers. That's just what I've heard. But if it goes to the linebacker position and it goes to a linebacker who's an impact player week 1, sign me up.
Hey, there's an interesting comment here. I get it. Tell me 3 reasons why we can't beat Texas A&M. Tell me 3 reasons why we can. I honestly think we're going to beat Texas A&M.
Wow.
I think we're going to beat them. Now, I'm not saying we're going to beat Clemson. I think we're going to either split one. But if I was a betting man, if my prediction, I think we'll beat Texas A&M, then we'll lose to Clemson. I mean, Chavez, how do you feel about playing Texas A&M early in the season? We'll be playing away in College Station.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confident about that game. I really am.
Texas, I'll say Texas A&M was one of the craziest stadiums to play in. It really is. I don't know, man. Jimbo is nice now. Jimbo is nice. So I have, but again, I haven't seen their team, so I don't know what their team is like.
Right.
But I think that if I would have to bet, I would say that we beat Clemson and we lose to Texas A&M.
Okay.
I think Texas A&M will be a solid team again. I think Clemson is. They had a down year. I think they're trying to recover. I don't know if they believe that. I forgot the quarterback's name. I don't know if they believe that he's, made the leap that they expected him to make. But why can we beat them? I think talent wise, I think we can beat them. I think we can hang with them, especially with Tyler Van Dyke at quarterback. I think he gives us a shot in any game. And why can't we beat them? I think it comes back to what Ross said, man. That second level, you just don't you don't know what you're gonna get from there. And when it comes to cornerback play and safety play, I mean linebackers are just as important. So I think it's gonna take some time for Charlie Strong to get that group right.
Yeah. I mean, how was that the game against Texas A&M? You played away. I think Craig Cooper. That's the thing I remember about that game. Craig Cooper had an amazing game, and then they put him on the bench. He had 3 rushes for over 100 yards. It was a crazy stat, 2 touchdowns. I think it was something crazy like that. Then they put him on the bench. They gave it to I don't know if it was Javaris James was fairly injured a lot, but whoever the next guy was. But I remember that game because we came in there. You guys dominated.
Yeah.
Texas A&M. I mean, how was that experience playing in College Station?
Yeah, like I said, it was crazy, man. Then they do that thing in the stands where they're going opposite ways. So yeah, excuse my dog. But yeah, they do this thing in the stands where they go opposite ways, and they practice at midnight before the game. So the energy in there is crazy. But yeah, man. I mean, once you're down on the field, and it's hot over there too. I mean, it gets hot in South Florida too, but you don't expect it to be as hot as it was over there. But yeah, we did. We went in, we dominated, man. We played a really good game. Defense scored. Glenn Cook had a touchdown on the fumble recovery, and yeah, Greg Cooper went crazy that game. So all the stars aligned for us, man. We got it done.
So, talking about Texas A&M, talking about Clemson, we really it's always interesting, and everyone has different kind of expectations for year one with Mario, we're all excited. I mean, Ross, what do you think are fair expectations, for a first year head coach who has a good resume? He's won the Rose Bowl before with an outstanding coaching staff. And like Chavez said, we have a very good quarterback with Tyler Van Dyke, and we're bringing in a lot of veteran players from the transfer portal as well.
I think our eyes are on the Coastal. I think it's one step at a time. Accomplish that, and the way I see it, Paul, is outright win the Coastal. Win it by 2 games, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Like be the team that truly was the best team, not just maybe the best team. Get that down first.
Right.
Then compete. Go into the ACC championship game and compete. That's what I need to see. I'm not sure at the level we're going to win that game yet, but go in there and simply compete for 4 quarters. That's what I need to see. And I need to see tough football for 4 quarters. I need to see these guys willing to put it on the line just to see what we really have with our team, because we got a lot of question marks right now still.
Yeah. I agree. I think, competing in a ranked matchup, something we haven't seen Miami do in a while. We haven't beaten a Power 5 non-conference opponent on the road. I think the last game was against Texas A&M away, the game you played in, Chavez. So, I mean, that's a long time since we've beaten a Power 5 non-conference opponent on the road. I think if we beat Texas A&M, that would be a great step forward. It's always reachable, the ACC Coastal. It's an easy division. That's the reality of the situation. And, to win a bowl game as well is something Miami is not very successful in recently. We don't win a lot of bowl games. I believe the last one was the Russell Athletic Bowl game against West Virginia. So it's been a little while. Chavez, I mean, are your expectations similar to Ross, where let's win the Coastal, let's be tough, physical, let's compete? I want to hear your perspective. It is year one for Mario. So Nick Saban did go like 6-6 or something like that at Alabama.
Yeah. I think it's definitely attainable to win the Coastal, man. I think like every year, I think we're in the race. We just don't end up doing it. Like the Coastal isn't so far ahead of Miami football that, we're trying to play catch up. It's just, the talent is there, a game or two here or there. I mean, look, it's pretty competitive, but I don't think it's out of the realm to say that we can't win the Coastal in our first year. And I think if we win the Coastal and we're in the ACC championship game, I think that probably puts us, maybe top 10 in the nation. I mean, our conference is a pretty good conference. So I think that'll put us in a good place, man. If we can win the Coastal, get in the ACC championship game, just like a few years ago when they made the ACC championship game and they played Clemson. And I was saying, look, if you lose to Clemson close, you might be able to sneak into like a nice bowl game, but ended up getting whacked. But yeah, man, I don't think it's so far out of the reach that we can't win the Coastal this year.
Ross, what do you think? I know we mentioned linebacker play. Is there anything else that could stop us? I mean, look, Miami's talent on paper, right? I'm looking at, ideally, you got Texas A&M, Clemson. I can see us lose those games, right? I mean, I think those are fair opponents to say on the schedule, hey, that might be a loss. Anyone else, Pittsburgh, that's always an interesting team.
Right.
Like everyone else seems like it should be winnable for the most part, besides Clemson, Texas A&M. Those are 50-50 in my opinion. Ross, what do you think is stopping us from winning the Coastal? Because last year, it's always the same thing. It's like every year. The schedule looks good on paper, but the results aren't there. It's a new head coach. What do you think personnel-wise is stopping us?
Simply put, pass rush and offensive line play. Seriously, that to me is how we at least start to get over the hump a little bit. We start to show that we've made improvements in areas that we have not been able to improve at for far too damn long, honestly. If we put together a starting 5 unit that gels throughout the season and stays healthy, of course you want the depth because you never know what's going to happen. But at least let's get that starting 5 down and get them to gel and get them to go forward. So if they're even just a mediocre unit, guys, with TVD and the backs we have like Jalen Knighton and players like Brashard Smith, we can make it work with just a mediocre line. We just can't handle a bad offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Chavez?
Yeah, I mean, I would have to agree, man. I mean, that I think that's been our sticking point, um, for the past few years. We got lucky with now I can't remember anybody's name now. Guy who just got drafted to the Dolphins.
Jalen
Uh,
Phillips.
him, right? And then the guy Russo. So
Yeah.
I mean, look at how we looked when those guys were putting pressure. I mean, you really need one or two guys on the D line to create pressure, and it wreaks havoc. Um, and then like you said, the O line play, it's just got to be. If we're just average, if we're just solid, if we can get a consistent play throughout the year, uh, you know, hand the ball off to these guys, let them boys run around, give TVD some time back there. I
Yeah.
mean, I think the sky's the limit, really. So, I mean, I don't see why we can't be a top 10 team if we can get those two things done.
No, 100% agree. I know it's funny. Everyone mentions O line. I think of like Manny Diaz's first year, how our offensive line was just awful. I mean, it just didn't give time to anyone in the pocket. And it's so true. Your offensive line
Yeah,
really is the backbone to your offense. If you give enough time for your quarterback protection, open up holes, your offense is going to move. You
right.
know, it really does help out a lot.
Hmm.
I want to give a quick update, Ross, about Jalen Robinson, UCF wide receiver, who is visiting Miami right now as we speak. I know a lot of people. He's 5'9" roughly. Nearing 1,000 receiving yards. He's in the transfer portal from UCF. Went to Oklahoma previously. He's visiting Miami. He's picking between Tennessee, Ole Miss, Miami, as well, and SMU. Ross, I know like people in the comments, then after the video was uploaded, we're kind of 50-50 on this. I'll go to Chavez first, and I'll go to Ross. I don't know if you're familiar with Jalen Robinson at all, but he's in the portal, 5'9" wide receiver, speedster, slot guy, obviously, unless he's just burning people on the outside. Do you think we need to add another wide receiver from the portal? Oh, Chavez, you're on mute, by the way.
All right, there I go. Yeah, so I think I saw something on Twitter about him. I think he posted something about his visit to Miami. Do we need to meet? I mean, if he brings something to the table like they say he does, then yeah, let's take it. I mean, bring him on, let him go out and compete, and let pick the cream of the crop. Um, I think that's what Miami has always been built on. Bringing in the best guys and letting those guys compete. We used to say that when I was there, like we're practicing against the best players in the nation. Guys can leave Miami, go somewhere else and start. That's what Miami is born and bred off of. So I mean, if he's going to bring, like I said, something to the table, bring him in. Let's see what he can do. But I do like, I like the guys be guys, especially Restrepo in the slot. Reminds me of like a Cooper
Yeah.
Cup type of guy.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be nice. He reminds me of like a Braxton Berrios too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just little dogs out there just getting it. You know what I mean? So I'm looking forward to what he can do. But yeah, man. I mean, like I said, if he can come in and compete and raise the level of some of the guys who are there, then let's do it.
No, I think Xavier Restrepo is going to lead the team in receptions. I think him and Tyler Van Dyke
Oh
created.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think those
Oh
two.
yeah.
I like Brashard Smith a lot. I know Ross does as well. I mean, you
Hmm.
can just use him in so many ways. He's a Swiss Army knife in this offense. Ross, just your take on Jalen Robinson.
I mean, it never hurts to have a guy who's got explosive traits. Honestly, I mean, it doesn't matter what position they play. Explosive traits get the job done. They flat
Hmm.
out do. He seems to be a guy who can put up chunk yards plays at 5'9". He seems to be a guy who you get the ball in his hands in space and he creates. What my hope would be is that if we bring in a guy like him, what he does is he mentors Brashard Smith so he can get Brashard's game to that next level as well. That's what I would really like to see, because while they're not exactly the same players, there are some similarities between them. And I'd like to see kind of a mentorship come from that as well as putting up some stats on the field too.
Hmm. Hmm.
George Roberts states the coaching staff is totally different from Diaz. They'll definitely get the best out of the players. Elijah Roberts will lead the team in sacks, double digits, baby. You see, that's something I love to hear, because let's say Elijah Roberts. I believe he's still an underclassman. The whole
Hmm.
COVID year. I don't know. He's got to be a sophomore. He's got to be a sophomore, unless I'm missing a year. But let's say a guy like Elijah Roberts, right? has double-digit sacks, which, that would be outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
That would help out our D-line a lot because guys like Jahvari Harvey bring in a Jacob Lichtstein who, let's say they average 5 sacks, Chance Williams contributes in certain ways. If one guy takes off to double-digit sacks, and I think we need one guy to get double-digit sacks, that's going to help out our D-line tremendously, and that's going to show development from the transition and coaching staff.
My hope is it's Mesidor, man. Honestly, that's my hope is that we went out and we got the right guy in the portal. In Miami, when we take shots in the portal, we hit home runs. We've made some mistakes here and there, but we hit some home runs. I really like this Mesidor kid. I really do. I think his upside plays right into tune as to what we want to do at Miami with our athletes. At worst case scenario, he gets us 4.5, 5 sacks. I'll take it.
Exactly. And that's all I'm asking for with guys like Lichtstein. Leonard Taylor's a beast. We have Chance Williams, Jahvari Harvey, Ross, who we're pretty high on. Chavez, I don't know if you're big on Jahvari either, but all these guys get 4 or 5 sacks, and then one guy just, takes the lead and, the sack total, gets to double digits. I mean, I think that would be an outstanding unit as development for the entire unit this season.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and what I try to explain to people too is like if one person eats, we all eat, right? Because if you got one guy up there dominating and he's got to get double teamed, well, that means somebody's one-on-one. So now you got a better chance to win. You know what I mean? So, there's a lot of players who were made off of the fact that another player, had to be double teamed or something like that. So it just gives an opportunity for guys to shine. But I mean, even if one guy doesn't get double digit sacks, all right, well, maybe everybody gets 5 sacks. It's still something to hang our hat on. So, we just got to create that pressure, man. I think we got the right pieces in place. You just need people to, take that next step.
What I will say about pressure is I believe, and possibly early in the season, we start to see the pressure come from the interior more than the outside, honestly. I truly believe that. There's ways to win like that. Now, eventually, you got to get some pressure on the outside or at minimum containment, so they can't just destroy you in the run and pass game.
Right.
But if we can continue to mold that interior, it's only going to make it easier for everybody else around them. Seriously, that's what the motto is for that, basically, right? You build the trenches up, and everybody else's job gets easier. That's going to be big for us to get interior pass rush right from the jump.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Chavez, I want to go back to cornerback play real quick. Anyone that stood out, because I feel like this unit, now we don't have Daryl Porter Jr. right now practicing in pads. He wasn't part of the spring game, transferred from West Virginia. But I think Tyreek Stevenson specifically, I mean, he's going to have to lead the team. DJ Ivy stepping up would be great as well. Guys like Isaiah Dunson, Marcus Clark. But, I think cornerback-wise, we're going to need some guys to really play well. Anyone in particular you're circling around or just looking for success this season?
Yeah, I'm looking for, what's that, 23, the Couch kid.
Oh, to Corey Couch,
yeah. I'm looking for him. I think he's kind of like an X factor right there, like because he's on the field a lot. You know what I mean? And we know Ivy, we know Stevenson, but he's on the field a lot, man. So if he can take that next step, maybe he's a nickel guy. Maybe he steps his play up and he moves to the outside to help rotate with some of the other guys. But I've been watching him since last year. Like I say, he's on the field a lot, man. If he can take that next step, that nickel position is a tough position. But if he can take that next step and lock that position down, man, I think that'll be huge for the defense.
No, I 100% agree. I know to Corey Couch, we've had a lot of different guests on. A lot of people like him from different football backgrounds to just fans of the program. So, definitely to Corey Couch is a name to look out for.
Yeah.
What position is Frierson at right now?
That's a great question, Ross.
I think he's playing like that. What did Manny call it? Like a star position or whatever.
The hybrid role.
Yeah, I think that's what he's playing right now.
Okay. I mean, I'm okay with him playing a hybrid role. It's just he's such a good player, and we're going to see those flashes from him now that he's got proper coaching. I really think he's going to be probably one of our best players overall this season. I really think that highly of him. He's in a spot of need too. We need guys to step up in those hybrid roles like that. If they don't, then they're just freaking pointless.
Right, and that's what I was about to say about that hybrid role. Like, it basically gets him on the field in pretty much every situation.
Yep.
Right. So, if he needs to rush, then he can go down and rush. If he needs to drop back and cover, he's got that versatility where maybe he can cover a back out of the backfield, or an athletic tight end. So I think what they're trying to do is just really get him on the field.
Mark asked me, if I was Mario, what position would I address the most recruiting at this point? I think linebacker play and offensive line. That's where we're lacking the most. I mean, cornerback, you got to add depth over time. I felt like, and Chavez, I'm curious to pick your brain. I feel like in the secondary, I'm going to talk specifically cornerback. I felt like in the past we didn't have the personnel depth-wise. And for example, like we had Trajan Bandy. I thought he was just strictly a nickel corner.
Yeah, 100%.
Just playing the nickel,
100%.
and that's it. That's that. We can't put you on the outside, but due to our personnel, depth wise, he had to play on the outside. I think Tyreek Stevenson as well at Georgia, he was just playing nickel.
Right.
But he comes to Miami. Hey, we're gonna move you around a lot, even to Corey Couch. I think he could just plays nickel in a normal elite Power 5 program. So I feel like we bring in a lot of corners, and then we put them outside of where they should be playing, and they feel uncomfortable. And then there goes development. It maybe it tarnishes their career. But do you think? I mean, what would be an ideal corner? Not like just profile. You think Miami should go for? Because moving forward, if you were a coach recruiting wise, what would you look for scouting report wise?
So if I'm looking for a prototypical corner, well, another thing a lot of people don't understand is like, okay, what kind of defense are we playing? So, for example, right, every year I was at Miami, we had a different defensive coordinator, right?
Yeah.
So my first year was Randy Shannon. Randy Shannon was going to blitz, we press man. That was his thing. The next year was Tim Walton. He took after Coach Shannon, so it was the same thing. Then we had Bill Young. Bill Young was a zone blitz defensive coordinator. So it changed everything. So for me, I prefer to be a man coverage guy. So if I'm looking for a man coverage guy, I want a guy with good feet and a guy who's physical, right? He doesn't need to have blazing foot speed. I'm not concerned about that, because if he's got good feet and he's physical, if he gets hands on you, we're not worried about the speed. So that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a guy with good feet and a guy who's physical, who can play with his hands, who can play with his feet. That's the typical corner that I'm looking for if I'm a man guy, right? If I'm a defensive coordinator who's like a Bill Young, because we got him from Kansas. He had a keep to lead. If I'm a Bill Young guy and we're playing like a zone blitz scheme, then I want a guy with good awareness. I don't care about his feet. I don't care about his physicality. I want to know if he's aware of where he needs to be and when he needs to be there. And that's something that you've got to see on film, right? You've got to see how he moves around. Where's his head? Is his head on a swivel? Is he a guy who just wants to cover grass? You know what I mean? Or is he looking for guys running in and out of his zone? So I think it depends on, what kind of defense you're running. But again, for me, I'm a man type of guy. So I want a guy with good feet and a guy who's physical.
Yeah, I love it. No, definitely fast, physical, everything you can ask for, and you're right. It fits the scheme you're running. I think Kevin Steele mentioned he wants to run a 4-2-5 defensive scheme, so it'll be interesting. I mean, people say that, and then they completely switch it up during the regular season. I mean, Ross, no, we're more than halfway through the show already. Anything we have not covered that comes to your head?
Overall, we've hit on quite a few, really, of the main points, especially now that we just hit on cornerback. We can all sit back and say we feel comfortable with the safety position, linebacker, we're in agreement that that's an issue. Offensive line still got to get built. Defensive line overall still has to get built. I think we really covered it all there. We know we've got an ace quarterback in TVD, and we've got ourselves some special playmakers if they're healthy. That's for sure. So I think the next step is just adding that piece, that security piece on offense. If it's not Restrepo is going to be the possession guy, if it's somebody else in the portal that we go and get, or we add that extra linebacker who can help us week one. That's my direction right now with the team.
All right. Before we wrap it up, do some rapid fire questions as well. Ross, I'm going to start out with you. What's your expectations for Mario's first year at Miami? Give me the record and run me through what you think will happen.
10-win team, win the Coastal, and we'll win a bowl game.
Okay. Or we're not winning the ACC.
Not winning the ACC on my position. Not this year. No.
Who wins it?
Not yet.
I think Clemson takes it.
Okay. Chavez?
I would have to agree. I wouldn't say anything different. I don't know if we win the ACC this year. I think we're in contention. But it's just it goes back to what you said, bro. I got to give you credit. You look at the schedule, and you're like, we should be like 10-2. But we get into the season and we win like 2, and then we drop like 3 in a row, and we lose to teams we shouldn't lose to, and it just you just never know. But I mean, but again, I totally agree with what you said to begin with. Texas A&M and Clemson. Okay, if we lost those 2 games, I'd be like, all right, okay. The rest, we should be good. What am I expecting? I'm expecting, if I'm being optimistic, 10 wins. If I'm being more so realistic, I'm thinking about 8 to 9. I think we're in that range, somewhere 8 to 10. I think that's where we'll be.
I think this season, we're going to start off slow. Like, things aren't really going to click. It's not going to, like, our offense, everything, defense, things are going to be kind of, I don't want to say like miscommunication. It's just not going to click. We're not going to connect.
Right.
And then we're slowly going to get into a groove where when we get towards the end of the season, everything's going to be clicking. So I think we're going to go 9-3.
Okay.
I think we're going to win the ACC title year 1 is my prediction, because I don't think Clemson gets in. I think NC State gets in.
Okay. I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, I think NC State's going to jump Clemson. There's a lot of big expectations for NC State. But it's either NC State or Clemson getting it, in my opinion. And I think we're going to lose to Clemson, and then we're going to win the ACC title. And I think we go to the Orange Bowl. I think we win the Orange Bowl year 1. I think 9-3, 10-3, and 11-3 the final record.
Okay.
My prediction. So that sounds great to me. Yeah, that sounds great. 10 wins too.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that at all.
If we hit double-digit wins in year 1, guys, recruiting is going to soar. Trust me.
Oh yeah.
It's going to soar through the roof.
Oh yeah. Yeah, right. we're gonna have to turn people away.
Yeah, literally. I know it's going to be really nice. Getting a lot of 5-star recruits. But right now, Ross, as we saw, I mean, things. Anthony Hill's he's not going to take an official visit. Wayne's going to Oregon while we're having I think it's this big camp we're having, kind of like the Paradise Camp. It's unfortunate, but recruiting's a crazy game. Travis asks, what do you guys think about the 3-5-5 proposal, basically eliminating Atlantic and Coastal Division? Ross, what do you think?
Yeah, I spoke on this on our last show, I believe, a little bit. What I do think it does is it gives the genuine top 2 teams a chance to compete for the title. You can have a weak Coastal and have 2 strong teams in the Atlantic. We've even seen it to where there's 2 teams in the Atlantic who have better records than the first place team in the Coastal. Yep. So what it would do is it would at minimum make it so the top 2 teams in the ACC would always face off against each other for the title.
Chavez, do you like eliminating the Coastal and Atlantic and just having everyone all the teams together? First 2 make it to the title game.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to do it. I mean, it's the same way they do the when you think about the like the college football playoff, like it doesn't matter what conference or who, you want the best teams to play. So what good does it do us if the 2 best teams are in the Coastal and you eliminate one of them? Right. So I think you put them out there, you open it up, top 2 teams, those are the 2 who play, and that's how you crown a true champion.
Yeah. And they are going to have 3 permanent teams you play forever, I believe. Those are the rules. 3 teams you play. So Miami gets Clemson, Florida State, and another good team, that would be funny. But I don't think they'll do that.
Right.
I really don't know how that's going to work. Guys, do you think? I mean, Joe Burrow, LSU at Orgeron. I mean, they had a phenomenal team. So many great players. Do you think we can pull an LSU year? I know we have our predictions, but do you really think? I just don't think. I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. You never know what could happen, but I would be surprised and I would be really happy if we do win a national title next year. And I didn't think the Canes basketball team would make it to the Elite Eight, but
well, we see what it takes. It took them to get the number one quarterback in the nation, the number one draft pick in the nation, to settle in as quarterback for them as they built around him. They kind of they caught fire, and they ran with it at the right times. I mean, this wasn't a setup for multiple years of success. It was actually set up for them to just go boom on that year, and they straight up went boom. And Burrows turned out to be that guy. If we believe that TVD can actually end up being the first player picked in the draft, then we can start talking about some different stuff.
Yeah, I think TVD has the talent. Looking at like the mock draft, the way too early mock draft, they got him a first round pick. I think they got him going to like Carolina or something, in like top 15. So look, he's got the talent, but again, man, when you're talking about national championship in year one, like all the stars have to align. I mean, those guys had some dogs. A bunch of guys went first round. But then again, they did come out of nowhere. But when you need the stars to align like that, man, I mean, you're talking about three phases of the game. You're talking about 11 guys on offense, 11 guys on defense, 11 guys on special teams. Everybody's got to be locked in. It's tough to do, man. I mean, you also got to think about how LSU, they set records. They just had a fire year. I don't think that's common. I mean, of course it isn't common. That's why they set the records that they did. So I think it's a long shot. I think we'll have a good year, but I don't know about national championships.
We got to remember for a couple of years beforehand too, LSU was still recruiting at an SEC level, a winnable SEC level. So they had talent around it. It's just they always struggled to move the ball. That was their big thing. And then boom, they hit on their quarterback and look, everything changes.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I can see Miami winning the ACC, but it's tough when you get to the elite level. The Alabamas, Ohio States, back in the college football playoff too.
Winning the ACC would be something that we could all outright celebrate. Absolutely. That would be a fantastic first year season. No matter how it goes down. Honestly, if we win it at 9 games, win it at 10 games, either way, I'd be pretty happy with that. Just because it's something we haven't been able to do.
Yep.
Hey, we'll see what happens. Any prediction could be right. We could all be wrong. We could do really well this year. You never know what could happen. So, Chavez, I would greatly appreciate you joining us on again tonight. It's always a pleasure to have you on, and be more than happy to have you on in the near future. So,
of course, man. Of course, anytime, man. Anytime.
All right. Well, I hope everyone has a great rest of their night, and always all about the U. Go Canes.
Go Canes.